But this lack of a difference between the two big parties now means that this election, more than most, comes down to leadership. If the choice is between Tweedledum and Tweedledee, then at least go with the Tweedle who seems to know what he's doing, who's on top of their game. And that is why Labor leader Anthony Albanese is probably Labor's biggest weak link. It's the one person in Labor who now could stop Labor from winning the election. He could destroy Labor's hopes because he seems so totally out of his depth, struggling to understand his own policies. Today, another disaster. And Albanese clueless about an issue he says is passionate about, has been campaigning about, made a front of stage issue about, the National Disability Insurance Scheme. Now, this NDIS is actually a total blowout. Don't swallow all that Labor stuff about, oh, the Liberals have cut it. Cut it. It's now costing 50% more than predicted. It's just got another 40 billion handout from the government, billion handout. It's about to cost even more than Medicare. And Albanese has been campaigning on the NDIS. But was asked today about Labor's announced 6-point plan to fix it. And once again, no idea.
The 6 points.
The 6 points are what we will do in terms was outlined by Bill Shorten.
No, Mr Albanese, what are the other 5 points, Mr Albanese?
We will put people, is all around the theme of
Mr.
putting people,
saying you are across your brief.
We will put
what
people,
are the 6 points
we
of your
will put
policy?
people at the centre of the NDIS.
Well, that was awkward. So Albanese went to the back of the room. He got a folder of notes from an aide who was desperately trying to help him out, and then frantically tried to find his own policy. Oh, it's got to be there somewhere in this folder. It was most embarrassing.
Is this a sign that you don't know what one of your policy is?
Are they the 6 points?
Are these the 6 points here that had to be handed to you by your advisor?
Mr Albanese?
That's not right.
Did you just ask for
We just saw you. It's on
You've just been
camera.
handed the 6 points, Mr Albanese. What are they?
Our policy on the NDIS
You've just been handed.
is to defend and fix the NDIS.
And all this came just a couple of hours after Albanese was on Breakfast TV and challenged on his new habit of hiding behind spokespeople, getting them to answer questions that were actually put to him, but he might actually stuff up.
Question is, though, you want to be the next Prime Minister. You want to run the country. Shouldn't you be across your briefs?
I am, Ali. I am.
You're not, Mr Albanese. You're not. You haven't been from day one of this campaign. You haven't been on top of your brief. The TV camera does not lie. And boy, has it caught a lot of damning evidence of this. Here is just some of it.
Do you know the official cash rate off the top of your head?
Oh, look, we can do the old Q&A stuff over 50 different over 50 different figures. Andrew,
what's the national unemployment rate?
National unemployment rate at the moment is I think it's 5.4. Sorry, I'm not sure what it is.
Do you remain committed to Operation Sovereign Borders, and if so, do you support the retention of temporary protection visas?
Yes. Earlier on, I heard half the question and didn't hear all of it. Labor's policy is to support Operation Sovereign Borders. We support offshore processing, we support resettlement in third countries. We don't support temporary protection visas.
Can I ask
Our
a question?
position is very clear.
So when you were Deputy Prime Minister, why didn't you support turnbacks then?
You weren't proposing then.
No,
you were not proposing.
I'm sorry, we were. It was our policy.
You were not
Turnbacks were our policy before the 2013 election. I was the Shadow Immigration Minister. I designed the policy. So you were on the National Security Committee, I think for the first time at that time. And so why did you not support turnbacks?
I was on the National Security Committee. We had established offshore processing just in 2013 when I became Deputy Prime Minister. That was the first step.
So you were going to do turnbacks?
No, that's right.
I could go on. For instance, Anthony Albanese at the start of the campaign was promising A nurse 24 hours a day in every aged care home in the country. And then, whoops, admitted we actually had a nursing shortage already. This is going to be a problem, so he had to then fudge his promise.
Do you not know how many nurses you need for your policy?
These won't be run by the government. These won't be run centrally.
But what is the figure?
These will come through. These will be determined by the people who run the centres, which is existing GP clinics and community health centres.
But the charge is that you're not across the detail, Mr Albanese, that you're making pledges, but you're not giving the finer details as to what's behind them. So do you know how many nurses you will need for what are now 3 packages?
Each place is different.
Well, it turned out he got a lucky break. Anthony Albanese then got COVID, so he could hide in bed for a week, away from the TV cameras. But then when he came back last week, there was a change in Labor's campaign. Everywhere the Labor leader went, there was one of his spokesmen jumping in front of him to answer any tricky questions like this. This is a real bodyguard effort last week by Labor housing spokesman Jason Clare.
And Labor's determined to do all that we can to give people a more secure future. Jace?
Thanks, boss. And thanks, Lydia, for letting us into the backyard today.
I've got a question on supply. Housing supply has come up a couple of times here during the press conference. Now, first of all...
which is now rejecting this plan that they've advocated for so long. Jace?
This is short. So
how can we wedge Labor? Everything this guy does. But I'll ask Jason to add.
I reckon in that cabinet room there's sour cream and sweet chilli sauce there. There's so many wedges there.
At the moment, you and others are getting tax breaks on properties.
Yeah, sure, but Albo can supplement.
To pay for the scheme, is that correct? And if not...
I've got a question. Why not make the other guy the Prime Minister if he's the guy with the answers? I mean, seriously, Anthony Albanese, your Prime Minister in just 2 weeks or so from now, do you really think he's ready?
Question is, though, you want to be the next Prime Minister. You want to run the country. Shouldn't you be across your briefs?
I am, Ali. I am.
You're not. You're not.